All right, guys, how we doing? Let's go. Fire away. I don't want to waste your time.
When you're looking at the scout for Vandy, I guess, just what can you take away from what happened down there last month? Like, what can you possibly take away from
Well, it's not fun to watch the film.
Yeah.
Vandy is a terrific team. Their point guard is electric. Duke Miles is back. He was really good last night. But they play with a gritty physicality that's really impressive. I think their front line is really special. They're undersized, but they're really physical. And I think this Okoro is a good player, man. He's got unbelievable feet. He kind of takes the toughest defensive matchup every single game. He's making shots. He's a pretty good ISO decision maker. He'll back you down, get to the free throw line. I think he has a huge impact on the team. They're a good team.
Something that you kind of lamented in the aftermath of that previous Vanderbilt game was physicality, maybe not being the aggressor, meeting them in that regard. What strides and steps have you guys taken from then to now to maybe be more, ready for that kind of?
Well, we're working on it every day. I think we've grown a lot in that area. I think they have too. I think it's our league. It's the same thing. I mean, it's elite level college basketball right now. It's just really, really physical. So it's every single night. Going into South Carolina, they have a great physicality. When you watch South Carolina's film at Florida, it's just a slugfest, right? And so it just is. That's something that's ever present, and we're growing. I think we're making strides in that area.
How important was it to see Ortega not wearing his Superman cape down in Columbia and Kentucky still find a way to win?
I think the win in general was important for us, and it's nice when Ortega doesn't have his best night that we can get one. I think that's important. I thought it was a good night for several of our guys, but right now it's just winning time, right? So it's just you win by any means necessary and just find a way to win.
What worked defensively for you guys in that game? I know there were a lot of frustrating moments, but collectively, defensively, you guys were pretty. I
thought our guys were really good. I actually thought we were better watching film than I did in real time. They made a couple threes. First one really, really deep. The next two kind of back to back almost were semi lighter contests. And so I think that stayed with me longer than it should have, and we clearly had a lot of offensive frustration in that game. Our decision making was poor, but going back, on the plane back, watching the film, I just kept shaking my head, being like, "This is good. This is good defensive film. It's really good defensive film." I thought our guys were, for the most part, a lead in terms of catching the move with a physical championship chest and saying no, and I thought our communication, with some exceptions, was really good. I felt like emotionally we were, everybody right now is trying to refuel emotionally, and I felt like we were not at our finest in the course of the game, but it sure didn't show up on the defensive end. Defensively, we were really good.
How much that can translate? Obviously, you've talked all season about, sometimes you get maybe two teams that are similar right in a row, but there's a lot of different types of teams in this league. South Carolina and Vandy pretty different. How can you take that defensive prowess and move it on to Saturday?
Well, there's some similarities for sure. South Carolina's, Vanderbilt is an elite level team, and South Carolina's trying to find their way a little bit right now. But, South Carolina has an electric scoring, lethal point guard, Amici Johnson. So there's some similarities there, and they have some girth and some undersized physicality. When I say undersized, I just mean not traditionally like tall, just straight up tall, physicality in their front line. So those things are similar, but in a lot of ways, different teams.
How has your team grown since that game at Vanderbilt?
Well, I think our focus has grown. I think we changed a lot of the ways we're just approaching practice. I think our ability to kind of channel our emotions is better. I think our understanding of what it takes to compete in this league every single night is a little bit better. I think our competitive spirit is I think we're able to unleash it a little bit better. That was not a happy night for us.
The Vandy guys afterward said that they thought they might be able to out-physical you guys, and I know that I know your players heard it. Is there like an extra, maybe a little chip on shoulder going into this one, like wanting to push back on that, or
Yeah.
that's not who you guys are?
I know it's boring, but guys, it's every game. It's just every game. This is just the league. It's like, you're trying to get yourself ready to go against every single team in this league. Every single team is really, really physical. Every single team is really good. And so every single game is the biggest game that we've ever played. It just is. It's so I don't know if it's extra. We say this all the time. How do you get more than 100, right? I mean, it is what it is. And this is a big game for them and for us. It's a big game for every team that you look at in the league. They're saying the same thing. This is a big game for us. Everyone's got 3 games left. So it's it's time.
Earlier in the season, you said you were struggling with finding the identity of this team. As you head into March, do you feel more comfortable about who your team is?
We know ourselves better. I think we have a better sense of ourselves. Yes.
You said after the South Carolina game that Denzel was due for a big game.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him maybe behind the scenes that gave you that feeling?
Well, listen. I mean, he's been a top level point guard in this league, which is incredible considering that he didn't walk into the season as a point guard. That's really hard to do, and I'm so proud of him, and he continues to grow every single game. And this was a game where I think he sensed it, like, okay, I need to put some extra impression on this game, and he was able to do it.
There was a lot of talk about pressure, and obviously after the South Carolina game, you broke this losing streak. You just mentioned obviously every game is big now, but how have you guys adjusted to the pressure, especially this late in the season?
I don't think people understand this. I'm so grateful for it. It's what makes this meaningful and special. I think our guys feel the same way. The day that you don't have pressure is going to be a real sad day, because it means that what you're doing doesn't really have any meaning. And so that's why we're here. Like, that's why we come here is so we can be in this. And it's actually the best part. And it pushes you and stretches you, and we can't wait to get to it.
You mentioned on Tuesday night that Malachi was kind of working through some things with his body. Is that related to the ankle thing that he had at Auburn?
Yeah.
Any concern with him going into Saturday?
No, because he came out of the game better. So I think we were really fortunate to get out of the South Carolina game with him feeling better than he did when he went in. So I think he's in a good spot.
What aspect of his development have you been most pleased with from June to now, or May to now?
He's steady. I mean, he's just steady. It's not perfect. Like, there are mistakes, but he's a steady growth guy, which is, you just don't see freshman bigs that walk around with the steadiness and performance that he has. It's really remarkable. He just kind of continues to get better and better and better every single day, just a little bit better. Where he's probably as a freshman right now, he's probably he's one of the top centers in our league, and he's a freshman. That's just it's pretty spectacular. And he just kind of grows his way into that, and he's doing it with a team that's a totally different dynamic on the floor than what was anticipated, right? Where he's not like he's getting to, it's not like Jalen Lowe is on the court making Malachi's life easy. It's exactly the opposite. And so for him to do that in that context is really, really impressive. And so that's probably been it. His steady growth is impressive.
Is it easier to teach guys, or not, maybe not easier is the wrong word, but I imagine somebody that steady would maybe be more receptive to learning new things, growing more. Is that something that you see in the teaching?
Well, he's really smart, and so it's fun. It's fun to watch him grow because he takes things in really fast. I think he's really curious. I think he's got a little bit of a stubborn streak, which is wildly important for him. It's important as a player that you have a little space in you where you're like, I got this, right? But he's also very curious, and he's a really smart player. So he takes in all the stuff, right? And he's learning every day.
Trent's been giving you good minutes as a rebounder, just
Yeah.
been falling for him. What have you seen from him behind the scenes that gives you confidence to continue playing him?
I thought he was really good at South Carolina. In fact, the last couple games, I think he's come up with balls. He's contested balls on the glass. His ball security's been really good. Probably want him to be a little more daring, a little more aggressive offensively. I don't worry about Trent Noah making shots. He'll make shots. He's going to make shots through the course of it. So I spend zero time on that. But I do think he's given us positive energy, positive physicality, positive ball security. And so we're going to need him. Like we need, we have a very, very small, limited roster right now. So he's important for us.
What about your rotations? Obviously, the injuries have affected that, but the South Carolina game, Mo really seemed to step up. Yelovich is starting to find his way. So as you get closer to March, obviously the rotations are getting tweaked a little bit, but those different guys stepping up in different roles or extra minutes, how the rotations worked out.
Yeah, I had three guys right there at that 35, 36-minute mark, and that's probably not ideal for us. Fortunately, South Carolina's not a huge transition team, and so there was some space for our guys to maybe catch their breath a little bit during the course of it. But Mo's minutes are incredibly important. BG gave us good minutes against South Carolina, came and had a immediate impact on the glass and had some great defensive possessions for us. He gives us the freedom to do some different things defensively, which help us. Jasper and Trent, our bench is really important. And those four guys stepping up is going to be probably go a long way to determining how much success we have down the stretch.
You mentioned on the radio show last night about the potential of a foreign tour this summer, and I know not all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed on that, but your own experience, especially in '95, going to Italy ahead of that championship season, how did that kind of inform you about the benefits of a foreign tour, bonding, team cohesion, all the things that go into an overseas trip?
Well, that trip was absolute misery. It was the worst experience of my life. Actually, it was really hard. On purpose, Coach made it that way, and we came and hung a banner and got a ring. So I do, I have had experience with these trips in coaching as a head coach, and they're unbelievable. It's an incredible opportunity. It's an incredible opportunity to bond with a group of guys in a unique way. And we work really hard to find ways where we don't have the opportunity to take a trip like that to bond, but it's just different. It's different when you spend that much condensed time together. In the summer where there is some intensity to it, but there's a lot of also just being together and doing it in an environment that nobody is familiar with. So I think they're really special. I think guys remember them forever. I think usually you remember them more positively than I remember mine, but
is that maybe even more beneficial now when like every team in the country has more turnover than they did 30 years ago? Is that more beneficial for a team with a lot of turnover, a lot of new guys who don't know the system or their teammates?
Yeah, I think it can be for sure. I mean, it's every year you go through difficult times. Really you're trying to build these relationships so that when you're in the moments of doubt, you at least can lean on each other a little bit, and that's important. It's really important, especially here, with all that our guys get to all the ways they get to be challenged here. Our guys learn really fast that they need to lean on each other. And so every experience like that where you can put some capital in the bank, some relation capital is important.
Do you have any hint on destination or continent?
I can't yet.
You mentioned last week that you all are still hunting. You don't feel like you're hunted these last 3 weeks. Obviously, you also talked about your excitement for March. I mean, these 3 games, wins in all of them or wins in a couple of them would be big, but vice versa, if they beat you all, it's big for them. So how has it kind of stepped up in practice or just for the team that these games kind of have a different level of intensity?
I wish I had something good for you. It just is like, we go hard all the time and we're trying to go even harder than we've ever gone. And it just is, that's the buildup of season. And this is the most special time. And it's the time where you get to kind of imprint whatever story it is that you're going to, however you're going to finish your story, this is how you finish it. So we're in a space where we have, a pretty dramatic and interesting story so far, and we like to finish off great.
You have an update on Cam last night. His dad said he had this Willis Reed dream of, NCAA tournament, Nashville, whatever, and just coming out the tunnel in 5, 7, 10 minutes, whatever it looked like. What kind of spark could that provide, both on the court with his production, but also just team morale?
Well, he grew through the course of the season into one of our most reliable people. One of the guys is a coach. You're blessed when there's a guy you just kind of leave on the court. You forget he's even out there because there's no issues arising when he's out there. And we're in a desperate need of minute help to kind of relieve some of the minute pressure on our guys. And he brings an incredible skill set, and he's grown so much through the season. So, if he comes back, it's going to be a huge boon for us. If not, then we'll find a way to make it work because we have the pieces that we need.
Go back a couple weeks. You mentioned something on the radio show that you like to hop on the Peloton each morning, and then you put on like the end of a Tour de France stage, and like you really enjoy watching the guys suffer as they're climbing up the mountain or sprinting to the line. I don't think many college coaches are flipping on the Tour de France, if I'd had to guess. So I guess, how did you, get involved in that? And you also, go along with that, talk about, suffering. So, I guess, what part of that resonates with you, and how do you channel all of that stuff into meaningful messages?
I mean, I think the best, I love, we talked about the pressure, grateful for the pressure, grateful for it mattering, grateful for it meaning something, grateful for being tested. I just think, you see a mountain out there and you're just like, can I climb it? Like, let's go. Like, or you could just sit in the valley. But what's the point? Beaches are great, but mountains are unbelievable, right? Because they test you. And so Lynn Nance was my coach at the University of Washington. After my freshman year, he was like, man, you got to get bigger and stronger. So he told me, he's like, I want you to get on a bike. I want your legs to get stronger so you can take more of a beating. And I don't know if that's actually what I would suggest to anybody else, but that began my saga with cycling. And of course, I took everything to the extreme. And so, I was riding from Bellevue all the way to University of Washington every day, and it was hard. And then the whole day and coming back in the summer. And then I got here, and Shep and I started riding together just because I'd kind of taken I started to find some enjoyment in it, and talked Shep into jumping in, and we did my first ever 100-miler here. We did here on the outskirts of Lexington, and then I got in an accident. Car turned right in front of me as I was driving down the street. I'm trying to remember the name of the street here, in a little bit of traffic, and then Coach, forbid me from ever getting on a bike again. But there's something really beautiful about just seeing how far you can push yourself. There is about pushing your limits. About can you actually turn the pedals one more time? Can you just do it one more time? And can you do it a little bit faster? And there's not a lot of skill involved, but there's a lot of will involved. And I think the test of wills is a great thing. I think living in a space where you're being tested all the time is a really happy place for me, and I think it's a happy place for our guys.
Mark, there's another report today about Auburn moving forward with a GM hire before the portal cycle opens up.
Yeah.
I heard your update last night. What would be your ideal roster management role in terms of a day-to-day? Should that be the path you decided? Go ahead.
What I'm looking for is the guy that can get me all the best players for $0. We're having a lot of conversations. I've had several former teammates say that's exactly what they can do. I don't know if I trust them, but it's part of the process.
You mentioned Trent earlier, getting to some of those loose balls. How important, I know you guys always stress 50-50 balls, but I feel like that was something in that first Vanderbilt game that didn't really come to fruition. How important is that going to be Saturday, and then obviously the rest of the season?
Yeah. I mean, every game is a slugfest all year long, and it just gets better now. It's more fun now. It's just more of everything. And you're seeing these wild, you get to these last couple weeks. Are we still in February? These last couple weeks of February? Are we March? Where are we?
March is Sunday.
Yeah. You get to these last couple weeks of February, and you see these wild results, right? Because everybody has been pushed to the brink. And anybody could break it at any moment. Anybody could raise up at any moment. And it's just like, and so all of it matters. And that's why it's so great. Like every ounce of your competitive spirit is being tested right now. And that's why, the end of February is always insanity. And then March just gets so beautiful and challenging, is because you've just reached the final moments.
Talked about minute pressure for some guys a minute or so ago. Is it some minor tweaks y'all are making so guys maybe like Otega or Denzel, they can rise up in those big moments, or is it just kind of is what it is, or you're all constantly still trying to make a little?
Yeah, and we have slippage. We're not talking about fatigue anymore, but we have slippage on the floor when we are tired. Like, there's slippage. There just is. We're more turnover prone. When we have tired bodies on the floor, one of the things that has been hard for us is, we've been dancing the turnover game the last 4 or 5 games like we haven't most of the season, and that's a lot of fatigue on the court. Like, when you're tired, you not only make poor decisions, but you're not quite as ball strong and as assignment sound, and so if we can find moments to buy our guys a minute of rest so that we can actually execute with more force on the floor, it matters. It matters for everybody. And sometimes that's at that 16:25 mark, if you can steal a possession, just extend somebody's meet timeout time longer. If you can go offense, defense, if you can, sometimes you're rolling the dice and saying, hey, can we live with a little bit of a disjointed lineup right now? And sometimes you're managing foul issues on one side where someone's got 2 early fouls, and so you're managing how can I keep guys as fresh as possible, because we do not function as well with our guys from 36 to 38 minutes as we do from 32 to 34. We just don't, and that's understandable. I don't think there's very few players in the league that can step on the floor and play with the force that we have to play shorthanded for 36, 37, 38 minutes. And so that's a real process for us, and it's one of the ways you're seeing that happen.
With that in mind, you've spoken about it before, but how much more of an emphasis is that put on not letting other teams speed you up and not letting them kind of force your guys to play the same way?
Well, that's complicated also, because our best basketball is in transition. We're one of the elite transition offensive teams in the country. It's where we shine. And in the half court, the way we're built is the way that we love to play this game is with a ton of energy. And so us moderating that, where sometimes we just change the dynamic of the game once we get to half court, is something we've been working on. But that's also the way we play. We came into the season and we've had real success. Like, we've had real positive results from when we extend the court and either press 3/4 court or press full court. We've had great success, but you're also fighting this deal of managing the limited roster and the energy of it. And so that's all been a work in progress. We're just nothing like what we imagined we'd be, but we're finding a space where we can be really good, and I think we can be great here down the stretch.